Here we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com. As always, visit www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Download the app for Android, iPhone, everything Galactic. Use the app. They will deliver pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, right to your front door, or Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Get down to Galactic Fried Chicken. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15%. Aaron, a rather interesting day in college basketball. What should be kind of a sleepy Monday. All kinds of newsy information as Ed Cooley leaves Providence, where he grew up and played and graduated from. A guy that is the ultimate Providence guy. Leaves Providence for Georgetown, and then Slick Rick Pitino, heads back to St. John's. He's back in major college basketball. We all knew someone eventually would take the chance. He is dangerous at St. John's.
Because he's a vampire. A vampire.
Well, he said he's 70 and feels like he can coach another 6 to 7 years.
60 to 70 years because he's a vampire. That widow's peak is not an accident. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm Rick Pitino. I'm going to coach your team.
I mean, it's not an accident that all the games he coaches are at night.
Look, say what you will. He is probably the best. There he is. You hear
him? I can't with your cat, man.
No, that's Rick Pitino. He's haunting the house.
I found you, Chad Brendel.
Do not talk about me. Say what you will. He is, I think, the best coach.
Oh, I thought you were going to say quick. To
he
take new jobs. To take new jobs, I mean.
To take a new job. I think he's the best coach in the history of college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, that decision took him, what, like 8 seconds?
15.
All right. Well.
Less than 15.
All right.
At least that's what the courts say.
The over-under is 5 seconds on that.
He makes decisions in less than 15 seconds. That's what the courts say. St. John's is going to be relevant immediately. The Cooley stuff is fascinating. Like, I guess it's Providence's version of Chris Mack, of Mick Cronin, where you have a hometown guy that, like, you feel like, all right, we got our guy. That's what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants that guy that went to their school and bleeds the school colors, and it means something to him. It means more. And then if you don't do what you got to do, they all still leave. Yeah. The Providence fans, I don't know, like, you probably didn't have time to see it. The Providence fans on the internet today are not taking Ed Cooley leaving well.
No, I mean, I knew it was weird when I'm scrolling Twitter and I see, I don't recall who it was. It may have been Cowherd. I'm not even sure at this point because I'm watching a baby all day and all of that. But and she's crawling around everywhere now and pulling herself up. So
oh yeah, so it's great when they start moving. That's what you told us.
It's fantastic. Gates everywhere. I'm tripping over them.
Do you have her in a pen yet? Have you created a perimeter?
Well, yeah. But even that's not entirely baby-proof. We this weekend we went and looked at a new under the TV mounted on the wall like stand for under that because we got to hide things like PlayStation wires and controllers and all that. Anyway,
sure. Yeah.
Getting away from that though, I saw a tweet that was like Ed Cooley's house is on Zillow or Trulia or
Rothstein. That was Rothstein. He put his house up for sale this morning and then took the job this
afternoon. Maybe that's why I accidentally forgot his name, because F that guy. But regardless, I don't know. I mean, it's clearly people are in shambles about it, and reporters are going to report because it's what they do. And I don't know. No, everyone has a price. Everyone can be bought. I don't know why anyone's surprised by this. Like, just because it's your alma mater doesn't necessarily. I mean, sure, you have a happy ending for Bob Huggins, who goes back home to West Virginia and finishes his career out.
Here's the secret, though.
A Hall of Fame guy there. Get him at the end.
Georgetown's about to pay $6 million for a guy that was at Providence for 12 years. I want you to guess how many NCAA tournament games Ed Cooley won in 12 years at Providence.
2.
3. I believe the answer is 3.
I was close. I don't know. I just guessed.
$6 million a year for a guy that's won 3 NCAA tournament games in 12 years.
People aren't going to like when I say this, yourself included, but you could have made that same argument for Mick, right? Going to UCLA.
No, you couldn't.
I mean, not that he only won 3. Obviously, he won more than 3, but he wasn't getting past the second weekend, right? You paid a lot of money for a guy that could not get past the second weekend, right?
Mick's problem was not getting past the round of 32, far more often than not. He would win the first game, face a team that was really good offensively in the second game with a team that was limited offensively, and get bounced.
I don't actually care about.
No, but what I'm saying is, at least with Mick, you had the understanding of he's going to be able to get more offensive talent here than he had at Cincinnati, which should give him better odds to improve.
You should be able to get better recruits at Georgetown than at Providence.
You're fishing in the same pond.
My point is, you already knew going into that argument that what Mick's stats were against offensively good teams. You don't know what Ed Cooley's stats are against teams that he's lost against.
No, I'm pretty familiar with Ed Cooley. I think Ed Cooley's a really good coach. He just hasn't built tournament teams. And I don't know at Georgetown, unless Alonzo Mourning and Dikembe Mutombo are coming back.
Patrick Ewing.
Right. Where does that come from? With Mick, UCLA is an elite national brand. You're going to get 5-star recruits at UCLA. Every coach that's ever been at UCLA is 5-star elite talent.
I'm not trying to make the argument.
Not so much.
I'm not trying to make the argument that necessarily you're going to get 5-star talent at Georgetown, but I think you're going to get better talent overall at Georgetown, 4-star, high 3-star, than you are at Providence. Especially Providence sans Ed Cooley.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think Ed Cooley. Well, here's the thing, Aaron. To do that, you need to hire a DMV guy. A guy that Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, the most fertile basketball recruiting ground in the country, is right around Georgetown.
Where I was
and you hire a guy from Providence, Rhode Island, that doesn't have those long-term intricate ties into the DMV. It's a huge risk, but I like Ed Cooley. I think he's a really good coach. At Georgetown, they're putting it all on the table. We'll see. We also have potentially, so Chris Holtman was a hot name for a minute in the Notre Dame opening. That seems to have faded. Now it's Micah Shrewsbury from Penn State. There was word that a decision could come today. I've not seen one yet.
What about Mike Bray at South Florida?
That's a hell of a retirement job. So apparently his son is on staff at IMG, which is right there. So
I mean, who's gonna go to South Florida though from IMG? Let's be real.
No. I'm talking about he just gets to go be around his son and his grandkids and his family
He's gonna be real mad when Penny Hardaway's still going to South Florida and is taking his kids back up to Memphis.
I love Mike Bray. He is maybe one of the top three funniest coaches I've ever sat and watched AAU games with, to the point my face hurt. Because he had the funniest conversation I had with him and Mick. Rick, shut up. No, can't suck my blood. He was wearing a pair of gold Notre Dame signature Under Armour shoes. And this is right around the time that UC had signed with Under Armour. Mick was an Adidas guy. He was pissed about Under Armour to begin with because it was
shocker. We all
the only reason that UC went Under Armour. You know the only reason UC went Under Armour, right?
Pray do tell.
Tommy Tuberville was one of the very first, when he was at Auburn, was one of the first ever Under Armour schools. So when Tommy Tuberville came to Cincinnati, he kind of forced Under Armour on Cincinnati. The relationship with Tommy Tuberville and Under Armour is why Cincinnati got paid as ridiculously as they did from Under Armour. Mick was pissed off about it. So we're on the road and we're sitting there with Mike Bray. And Mike Bray has these shiny gold, like Golden Dome, Notre Dame Under Armour shoes. And Mick's like, I'm going to have to get me one of those. And Mike Bray said something along the lines of, look, man, you think the people at Under Armour don't know you're an Adidas guy? Like, he's like, you ain't getting any of these shoes until you cut the shit and kind of, be loyal to the brand. And Mick kind of gave him the old, like, I'd rather not have my own shoes. If that's what it takes, I'd rather not.
Maybe that's a show for another day. Which was worse, Under Armour or Adidas? Because
Under Armour UC made a lot of money that they shouldn't have made.
That's maybe a show for a different day. The last thing I was going to say, the last thing that I wanted to bring up, I know you talked about it on the nightcap, or I'm sorry, on the BBP tonight, but you said that Hofstra maybe should have been a ranked team. So real quick, I'm going to run down through some of these teams.
Well, I think here was my problem with this, Aaron. When you look at the metrics, and I know part of how the NIT is done is different because essentially they only seed the top 4 teams, and then everything else is supposed to be as regional as possible.
Kinda.
It's supposed to be, unless you can't. Like, Cincinnati would have played Dayton if Dayton didn't turn down an NIT.
Cincinnati should have played Youngstown State then.
But Cincinnati wasn't a 1. And
Oklahoma State played Youngstown State. That's not a regional.
It should have been. But I guess the problem there is, do you replace Youngstown State with Virginia Tech? So Oklahoma State has to play Virginia Tech?
No, but wouldn't Utah Valley, as opposed to New Mexico, be closer to Oklahoma State?
Utah and New Mexico are pretty close, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's 4 corners. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I
think they just got into a weird spot with Dayton saying no.
I'm worried more about my 1 seeds than I am about my 2 seeds.
Hofstra should not have been quote unquote an 8 seed. They just had to play Rutgers because they were closer to Rutgers than anybody else, and Rutgers loses.
Vatek's not far from Rutgers.
It's pretty far. Pretty far. It's about the same as Cincinnati. It's not that different than Cincinnati.
I don't know.
I think it's about 5 hours to both.
As the crow flies, I'm not sure. Anyway.
I don't think anybody gets to fly to the game on a crow.
Getting lost in the weeds. And then,
right.
I mean, you're on a bird of some sort getting to the games. Anyway.
It depends. I think Utah Valley is better. Like, Utah Valley probably should have been seeded.
At 25-8?
Yeah.
In a very weak conference?
They were not in a very weak conference. They were in the Mountain West.
It's a mid-major.
It was a very strong mid-major that put multiple teams in the NCAA tournament. I believe they put more teams in the tournament than the American did.
My point, though, is are you going to put them in over a
Sam Houston, North Texas, Liberty, Washington State, UAB? Like, there's plenty of places Utah Valley should have been seeded.
A 16-16 Florida,
right?
In a very down ACC year,
SEC
year,
the SEC.
Whatever.
But Colorado, 17 and like they shouldn't have been seeded over Colorado, who played Seton Hall in the first round. That's very regional. That quick that quick jaunt from Seton Hall to Colorado, where if Utah Valley should have been seeded, Colorado should not have.
I almost wonder what they were thinking putting. Like, I mean, do they try and keep the seeds like the 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the same region?
No,
they don't do that.
No, just here is this team. Here are our 16 seeded teams, and then we try to find the other 16 teams a place that's close to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if it were
if Oregon's a 1 seed.
I know. I was just looking at that. I was looking at the bottom left bracket as well.
Why would they not play Santa Clara in the first round?
Because they played UC Irvine.
UC Irvine. I mean, maybe Irvine is closer to Oregon than Santa Clara. I don't think it is. I think of Santa Clara as the top of California. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm just looking like an idiot on geography.
I don't know geography, the city geography of California, because I've been to California once in my entire life, and it was when I spent the night in an airport before going to Vegas the next morning.
Fair. I don't know. Like, a lot of this just didn't make sense to me.
Why is weird?
Why didn't UC play Morehead State in the first round? If UC is a seeded...
I brought that up several nights ago. That was if it wasn't Youngstown, it should have been Morehead.
Yeah.
I said, well, Morehead is kind of close to Clemson. And I said, I mean, UC is probably closer to Morehead State than
Clemson. It's closer to, well, I guess it's because of the ACC. It's closer to Clemson. Virginia Tech.
Florida. But
I'm not going to
put another ranked team. But I mean, at that point,
I was just talking in the BBP. I was talking specifically about Hofstra. Like, College of Charleston was a 12 seed in the NCAA tournament. Hofstra won the regular season in that conference. So Hofstra in the NCAA tournament, if they win the conference tournament there, where would College of Charleston been? They would have been unseeded on the road. I don't believe, I don't know. A lot of the seeding doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Maybe it's because we're not normally in the NIT, but clearly the NIT.
I'm confused by the NIT. Yeah, I don't
all
get
over the place.
You know what I don't want? You also know what I don't want, Aaron? I don't want to ever understand it.
To go play at elevation at Utah Valley ever again?
No, I just don't. I don't
in a tournament
know the logic of the first round ever again. Whatever the first round logic is, I don't want to know it ever again. And that's all I have to say.
Fuck around.
That's the nightcap.
Fuck around and win the whole thing.
Yeah, just win it. We'll see you tomorrow night. Galactic Fried Chicken, BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!